End of the world, post-apocalyptic city/base builder known as Oxygen First Breath. Hello again there, friends and fans. Raptor here. Welcome to a game that's available now on Steam for free as a demo of an upcoming game that hopefully will release with additional features and buildings and much more, but with a really interesting premise of a post-apocalyptic city builder where it's not necessarily about gathering things around you and to build a city, although it is, but the main source is producing oxygen for your people. Now, most city builders that are post-apocalyptic allow you to return to the surface after a massive disaster and oxygen is returned or radioactivity has lowered. But in this case, well, it's still ongoing. There's not a lot of oxygen anymore after countless wars and disease and other things, I suppose. And so either it must be purified and or produced in order to survive. There's a tutorial for this game, but we're going to jump into a new game and kind of take a look at its features, things that we can build, and how to survive in Oxygen First Breath. Thanks again for subscribing to the channel. Welcome to all the new members, and thank you guys very much for leaving a like here too. Don't forget to say hi down below in the comment section and give a shout out to as where you're watching from today. Got a lot of great fans from India and places in South Africa and the UK, Canada. So give a shout out to your city or maybe your country, wherever you're watching from, and let's jump in to Oxygen First Breath and build our own city. Glory to RAPTORIA. Let's go. Alright, well, welcome to RAPTORIA. So it looks like it's early winter, year one, which is strange because most survival games like this start out in spring and give you plenty of time to prepare for a big winter. And everybody is seemingly almost looking like they're in a diving suit or a cleanup suit, but of course these are really just oxygen hazmat suits. And there's even like a little kid. I can see children here, which oftentimes kind of get ignored in these types of games. Right, so first things first, we got some homeless, and we got some good music playing too. Another thing that's interesting about this game is that if we don't deal with some of these problems in the earth itself, there'll be explosions and fires that could spread. Like the earth is somehow, I don't know, been like destroyed in some sort of a way other than it just being on the surface. It's almost as if the underground of the earth has also been suffering some, I don't know, catastrophic earthquakes and other things that have changed the oceans and the flow of water, all sorts of disasters. Here we see a lot of metal available from things like this tank and this overturned bus. We have deposits for stone and other types of buildings here that we can salvage for metal, metal planks, canned fish, and we can assign 15 scavengers. So it seems to work a little bit like how it would in Frostpunk, where you would like assign a few people to work a particular site or something like that, like a pile of coal, except in this case, it's an airplane for things like Kevlar and metal planks and gears and whatnot, and also buildings too, where you'd think we would want to house our people here, but we're going to build our own stuff. Let's take a look at the buildings available. So we have buildings for housing, food, resources, workshops, technology, community, decorations, and trees. And then, of course, within that, things that can be unlocked via research and technology. So I would assume that we will start with the container house, which can hold 4. We seemingly have a population of 17 plus 3 children. So we'll need, well, actually, we probably want even more homes than just that for eventual expansion. Looks like the fertility rate is going to be low in these homes, too. So it's not none. So there is a chance that perhaps maybe more babies in time will be born. Looks like we have a duplex and an apartment. These are probably higher both in quality and capacity, and so those will be things that we can unlock through that research chain, probably at the HQ and or through other things. So here's our oxygen center. This is our main base, and we also start with some storage here. We can see all the things available in the game so far, specifics, but then also we just have generic food, materials, and energy. So we'll need to supply our people with power too. We have a new task.
Start with the basic needs: water, food, and houses.
Let's do exactly that. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started by laying out our city. Looks like we can start by building a fishing dock for food resources, like, for example, the storage are already built, so we can start with a water purifier down here at this lake. Let's go ahead and start one by one in what they instruct. So they're instructing to do 5 houses to begin. I don't see the option to build roads just yet here, but it does look like there is a directional arrow, so there must be some sort of road building here. And of course, we can also rotate. I see like a D8 bulldozer over here too, sweet, and like a little, I don't know, maybe like a metro? Is that what that is? Or a little market? I'm assuming it's just a subway station. However, strange to put it there next to the bridge. So here's the world for us to explore. So we should be able to get a ton of supplies. Now, this is just a demo, so I think this map is always the same, just to show you the basics. But I believe eventually we can expand and explore via this option here, maybe the radar. Let's build the houses that we need then. Oxygen Center looks a little weird, by the way. It almost reminds me of a building that you would see in, like, Command & Conquer Red Alert 2, like the Allied Tech Center or something like that. Nothing about this screams Oxygen Center. It screams research or, like, high technology. All right, let's go ahead and build 3 buildings here. And then maybe we can build a couple on the backside, maybe? Or maybe we'll build one here and then one on the backside. And then we'll eventually clear out the metro station, which will probably be used for resources such as metal, stone, and coal, which is kind of a weird thing that you would not expect to see in a train station, but whatever. Okay, so that'll be the 20 homeless people housed. Let's build ourselves a fishing dock then. So food, maybe we could build that all the way over here. Good fishing over here. Saltwater fish. There we go. And then let's go with the water. We need a water purifier, which is under resources. Now, one thing that's immediately apparent here is that we have ourselves a grid-based game, you know, similar to Anno 1800 or even Banished, right? Banished was also grid-based. And very flat land here, too, just like Banished as well. Newer games like, for example, Farthest Frontier and/or, oh man, if you've seen it, Manderlords are really starting to, even though Farthest Frontier is more grid-based, it certainly adapts elevation and such, and Manderlords is like the most insane level of that. But this is kind of more for producing all the different types of goods. It looks like we also have to worry about weather, which is reminiscent of End Zone: A World Apart, a game where, of course, we had to purify water and/or capture it in order to eventually make use of it, either in our farms or, in this case, drinking water, like every game you would imagine. Okay, so we also need to place down a canteen, but as we're waiting for people to build things, we'll just go ahead and find out where we're going to place that. This is a area for them to get food and water. So kind of like a market where they'll come to eat and drink. That kind of thing. It looks like a little convenience store anyway. Kind of actually reminds me of putting down like a drink stall or a food stall in like an amusement park game. I think the buildings here look quite strange, but it's not a bad thing. It's certainly a different look and appeal to them. They just don't look as if they're being salvaged as much. Some of them look pretty damn clean. I would expect them to look more like this rather than, you know, like, for example, out of plastics and 3D printed. You know, it actually does look like it's 3D printed on a concrete slab like that. That's really crazy. All right, well, anyway, all the people are getting to work. The kids are just kind of hanging out. My assumption is that there's pretty much nothing we can do with them until either A, we can put them in a school, or B, they become of age. And mostly in these types of games, the age in which they have to be in order to work is like accelerated. You'll have a newborn, and then within a year they'll be a 18-year-old adult, or at least the age to where they can start school, like at 12 or something, within like 1 year, which is kind of weird. But anyway. All right, things are being built there. That little ding meaning that our little houses are complete. I wonder if we can upgrade homes. We can actually go between them, which is kind of nice, though. We can see all of them differently. And another thing, the main goal of this game is to keep the oxygen generator on, and of course to stop these cracks from creating massive problems. So here we have to build a gas extractor to prevent explosion and generate electricity. So both a blessing and a curse. And of course we want to stay away from things like this, which is, you know, molten hot magma coming down from the well, up from the middle of the planet or wherever there is deposits, which could spread. So these are destroyed here. What is this here? It's just a regular old tree. Now, interestingly enough, we want to try to replenish the Earth's oxygen over time. So we want to grow more and more trees. We could use this as a wood source, but I think what we really want to do is possibly terraform the planet again to grow enough trees in order to produce oxygen as they're dying. That's interesting. They put a lot of good models into the military vehicles, too, to show conflict. I believe this is a Euro Tiger or a Eurocopter. I forget the designation of this. I think it might even be a Tiger, typically designed by the Germans, or at least mostly used in the Cold War in that case. And this being like also a armored car of some sort, maybe like a French recon vehicle or something like that. I'm a little rusty on those days, but I certainly recognize a military vehicle from afar. I'm sure you do too. Great thing about this too is it actually has a different amount of materials and different things than the bus does. So they're not just both generic metal that can be formed later. We can actually get vehicle parts and moving parts and things, and of course the same with this thing. Hydraulic hoses. We could get electric cables, computer screens that have microchips in them that could be taken apart, that kind of thing. So pretty cool. Same with the train up here as well. Interesting that we have a mix of all sorts of tech, though. We have steam trains, infantry fighting vehicles, and tanks, and helicopters, and like old Land Rovers, or look like a Chevy Tahoe. Anyway, houses are getting done, and it looks like we can now finally start making some water. So let's go ahead and apply at least somebody to work there. Well, let's get 2 people here. And we want most of our people to be working on building stuff. First, we got to build it, then we got to get people kind of assigned to working at that building, which it must be really a hard job already to do, like fishing or something like that. But imagine doing that like in scuba gear all day long. It's just going to be a horrible situation. I could not imagine doing that. I did mention the word deer earlier. Maybe I'm hungry, but that leads me to think, what is out here for animals? I guess the only thing out here is fish, and so I guess we won't be able to get leather or anything like that, other than maybe possibly somehow farming them, if we happen to have some sort of a building that might have some of them alive. If we can find them somewhere, then we could possibly use animal husbandry. I do really like, though, the ability to see the previous world being something that we can really salvage. I think games like Endzone and World Apart do that really well too, where you can salvage buildings and airplanes and things like that. Surviving the Aftermath, another fantastic game, usually has you going and salvaging concrete blocks and wood, from pallets, and also farming out in the open, but not necessarily salvaging large buildings and structures, which I find to be quite cool, that you can actually go out and get cars and things like that. All right, we're just waiting for the fishing dock to be complete. That was part of our initial startup. So by the end of our first day here, or year one, day one, we have ourselves a couple of homes. In the first day, we have water, and now we have our little canteen up too. Very nice. Let's get a couple people assigned to that as well. Now, let's see. We have an event log here. Looks like alerts for things being completed and inadequate living space, so you can keep track of things pretty easily there. Vote of confidence as well, so we will have elections. Interesting. So very much like Frostpunk, where you're needing to try to keep people as happy as possible, rather than just necessarily alive. There's a little bit more than just hungry equals happy, or rather if they're fed. If they're not hungry, then you're good to go. But looks like there'll be a bit more than just this. Now, trees, you can see in the right corner as well. We have trees 0 out of 10, so that'll probably be our main goal here, is once people see more and more trees being grown, they'll have hope for the future, and so that could be pretty good too. We also can explore as well by building a radar or a signal tower, so we were right about that. Well done, task complete. You can see your rewards below. So it looks like people are happy, and we can move on to our next task then. Let's see, statistics. Oh, very nice. So we can actually see a breakdown of everybody's happiness and what exactly they're doing, and their uniforms too. In this case, I'm wondering if this is how long they have left until the quality of their suit drops. But we'll just play it by ear on whatever orders we may get. So let's move on to the next thing then, which must be manufacturing some materials to build more stuff. So we do have, oh, look at, actually, we have ourselves the Metalworks, a gear workshop, Brickworks, and a Kevlar workshop. Under technology, we have research and a submarine dock. Now, there we go. That's exactly where we can get people. A dock where submarine can drop off new people. So, the question is, are people living under the ocean? Like at the ocean floor? Or are there people, perhaps there's still submarines out there or something that are being self-sufficient, both nuclear power, of course, and also, of course, by being able to produce water. Although eventually they will need parts and repair, but you could, in the case of one of the most interesting ways that I've ever seen a game take on how survivors are surviving, is in a game called World War Z, where, of course, it's a zombie survival game where you're shooting through like Left 4 Dead, but one of the missions is to go and secure a submarine dock so the survivors there can use the submarine to power the city with its nuclear reactor, and also to be able to purify water through the submarine's means to do that. Now, of course, it's not going to be able to, give hundreds of people water all the time, but I thought it was quite interesting that they were going to do that in that game, and I would love to see actually more games do that, where it's kind of, I don't know, like interesting to keep military personnel alive in order for their knowledge of things medical and mechanical, rather than just continuously fighting. Always interesting to see where these games go, where they show, when the fighting has stopped and there's really no reason to fight anymore, now you're just fighting for survival against Mother Nature. Oh, we have ourselves some rain here. All right, I want to try to get through the night a little bit. Yes, we do have our magma coming over here at 4 days or so. Let's go ahead and build whatever we need here. Research Center isn't built yet, so let's slow down. I just wanted to see if they would continuously work here. And it looks like we might be able to keep working day and night. Maybe they take shifts if multiple people are assigned. All right, let's build our research center then. I was waiting to see if we would get any more tasks, but nothing just yet. But regardless, we're here to scout things out and see how it plays out. And it definitely feels a little bit more surviving the aftermath and End Zone a World Apart, with a little bit of Anno in there with the whole grid-based stuff. And I do like how developers are now starting to put in these wonderful white leading lines to let you know where exactly something will connect. So if and when you go to build roads, you'll be able to connect things perfectly and or make the maximum use of space, which is very efficient and very satisfying too, when you know you're being efficient too. Hey, we got ourselves like a little bus stop or a depot over here as well. Lots of stuff there, lots of plastic as well, so that's going to be interesting. Now the real question is, when we run out of all these things, now this is just a demo too, so maybe we're just doomed to fail just so we can try it out and eventually run out of materials. But how would we get more things to salvage? We would probably have to go out to furthest distances from the camp, like in Surviving the Aftermath, where you must launch expeditions, or also like Frostpunk, in order to bring things back, perhaps. Or it'd be really cool if storms would wash things ashore, including like a boat like this. Would love to see a Kevin Costner style Waterworld type game too. It'd be really amazing to actually build a kind of a permanent settlement on the water, except more like, instead of it being in one place, you constantly have to move. Or like in that movie, taking over an oil tanker in order to fuel your ski-doos and other things like that, boats and whatnot. Okay, well, the research center will go up. Let's see what else we have for the community. Let's build ourselves a medical post. I think we'll try to build a little bit of everything and then see what we can do about that thingy over there that's going to explode, the little crater. All right, let's build this close to the buildings there. Now, there probably are roads here. Looks like we can also opt for things to be demolished, too. Let's see, decorations. We have a star that can be built. That looks like something from Jack's. All right. Looks like we can put down trees, too, but that might be something we have to unlock over time. And that's pretty much all we can do for now until we research more. So, Research Center and the Medical Aid Station are going up ASAP. Let's go ahead and speed things up. Now we're on day 2. I like how the nighttime doesn't last too long. That's one of the things that I've been seeing a lot more games try to do, is a day-night cycle as a like a non-skippable or a forced thing, and I think it should just be
electricity from a crack by the help of a gas extractor.
I think it should be optional in order to turn on day and night cycles, so that way you can see it look differently. But in survival games, it makes sense, especially if you have solar panels, because when you can see that it's nighttime, you'll know you have to either switch to wind generation or possibly like a backup diesel generator. Okay, let's go ahead and accept, and let's build the remaining things. So we'll build the research center, which is done. Then we need to research the gas extractor and start building 2 of those, so we have 2 nearby, which have a few days remaining on them. Let's go to the research tree. Looks like we have ourselves some easy, medium, and hard research levels. We have gas extractors, plant houses, aka greenhouse shelters, Signal towers, coal mines, and metalworks for now. Let's go with a gas extractor as they've ordered. We need 15 tech points to do that, right? So how do we generate those points? Just by keeping people in the building, I would assume. Productivity is tier 3. So we might be able to build more than one of these things in order to research things faster. And, well, if we're going to have more people, if that's going to be a thing we need to worry about is having more population, then we should certainly take whoever we have now and put them into that building. Also, the aid station would be useful to have somebody in there for now. So yeah, we need more people in these research buildings, but it looks like we might be only able to build one. Now it looks like we can build multiple. Let's build another one across town, maybe over here. So yeah, if we're going to have a larger group of people, more people coming eventually, we'll first start with research to unlock things, then put those people in the jobs that unlock, and then anybody who's new and jump into research as well. Essentially almost researching their own jobs. If we got 5 new people and we were wondering where to put them, then we would just do some research and then put them into that job, which would be kind of cool. Alright, let's see what we got going on here. Look at that. Now, this is the type of thing I don't like in these games, too, which I wish we would get away from a little bit for real-time strategy games from the past, where back in the days of Command & Conquer Generals, and some maybe more recent RTSs, too, that might kind of throw back to that golden age of RTS, the idea here is to try to save resources in terms of like mechanical resources in your PC and how the game runs by basically showing like scaffolding, and then the building either appears like you see just now, where it kind of spawns under the ground and eventually raises out of the ground to show like construction. And I would like to see more and more games adapting and embracing the difficulty of building buildings where everything must be put into place. Now, it's much easier for, like, for example, a primitive city builder, where things like wood and logs and stone and clay are being brought to a construction site and then being placed into position for a foundation and for walls and things like that. But a little harder for a game like this with concrete, rebar, steel beams and things like that, and essentially all you do is hear people with hammers and whatnot. Now, that's fine for now. It's just a placeholder and or, of course, I think it's much harder to do for a futuristic game, because if you had a crane, it would require power. But that's just a minor thought, that buildings of the modern or futuristic variant should have a lot more construction equipment and things involved in them. I think if we were just starting out, we would build buildings like this, don't you think? Anything out of corrugated steel or whatnot. This would be a fantastic place to use for housing or storage. It's sheltered. It's obviously been up here for a while, so it's at least somewhat sturdy. Not ideal, but sleeping in an all-concrete structure might be a little bit more ideal than a 3D printed little shack or something like that. But then again, these could be radiated. Who knows? You can think up your own ideas, and that's totally fine. All right, let's employ more people into research and try to get this done. We've generated 5 points so far. That's going to be a long time. 300 in order to research greenhouses. That's crazy. But we also have things like the cafe, tailor, and playground, which is some sort of a weird circus, I suppose. Now, I've also played this game a few times before making this video, just to test it out and see if I wanted to play it. And the developers throughout Steam's next event, which took place in October of 2022, with many more opportunities coming in the future for more demos, by the way, they've updated this demo a few times to be slightly different. And so the cool thing is these developers have either been finishing their ideas as they've been working on them in the demo, or been immediately taking feedback from people and putting it right into the game to make the demo a lot more fun, and or at least to showcase better the idea that they have in order to kind of get everybody a fuller picture of what the game will offer, and of course to immediately put into development whatever any feedback from players is. Now, we have a lot of people standing around. This is nice to actually show that nobody's really working here. This is a great visual way without going through the whole professions tab. And, of course, you can do this just like you would in Banished or many other games as of current, where you can see what jobs they're working in: food production, resource gathering, technology, or something to do with trees, which I'm not sure. Are they logging this tree? Or are they gardening this to keep it alive? Looks like they're going to be providing water to it. That's what it is. Okay. We want to try to keep these trees alive then. But anyway, yeah, so it's a great way to be able to kind of take a peek at what everybody's doing without actually opening any of those windows. You know, if you have a bunch of people standing around, maybe they lost access to a resource or something like that that they needed. Medical center's looking good. Research looking great. We now have 5. Let's see how long it'll take to generate what we need. Now, this could explode before we're done with the research. Even if we went for that right at the start, I'm assuming here it'll unlock automatically. And this will give us Gas Extractor, which then unlocks Water Turbine, and then the solar panels, so we can get those photovoltaic cells working and humming out some power. Now, I've been seeing a lot more games recently, too, focus on storing power. And I think that's pretty damn cool to see games that are starting to teach people things about medium, high, and low voltage, and substations or transformers, and the ability to wire and make things a little bit more detailed that way. Oh, looks like another one. Okay, so it looks like we're going to continuously have to worry about these cracks in the earth. So this is showing that there's a new one that just popped up. Oh, well, now we're into winter. I wonder if the seasons of Earth are completely messed up now because of what's been going on. Okay, so now we're going to work on the gas extractor. Prevents explosions and generates electricity by extracting toxic gases from the cracks. Right. That's going to take gears and plastic. All right, then. Go ahead and get that pumping. Oh, yep, under technology. So hopefully we actually have to store this power here. And it only shows yellow on this area. I think it should turn green, letting us know that we're on it. Unless we're lacking materials. Let's go ahead and take a look here. And there's our power there. Must be stored inside the oxygen generator here. This must be like some sort of a last stand survival base. And then, of course, generating power and food and things like that. Alright, so let's take a look at what we need for the gas extractor. So that's 30 gears, to which we have 150, and 25 plastic, to which we have 120. We do have the materials. We can rotate with R and F. And I guess we can only put it on that one, but I wonder why. 3 days, 1.9 days, but only that one. I feel like all the others are a threat. Well, more specifically this one, but okay. I guess we'll start with this one then. And we'll learn why we can't build on the other one shortly. I guess it's because it's literally a blaze with fire. So maybe there's limited times where you can't build on them. As they're... Well, maybe the gases on the surface are burning up. And so thus we can turn them off shortly. Oh, there we go. Somebody with a watering can. You'd think that these would require more oxygen to be able to burn too, but this is the gases burning as well. Oh, a coal deposit on the surface. Hopefully we can build mines. Was there an option for mines somewhere? Well, yeah, there's a coal mine. We have a water well, which will take up water from deep under the surface, which could be more purified. Rather than having to use the water purifier, we can just pump it directly. Looks like only one person on construction there. We've generated some great amount of points now for additional research. We only need 25... 0 to 25. Not sure exactly how that works, but... yeah, so now we can... Okay, so everything has to be unlocked in order, too. So if we would like to unlock the plant house, we'd need the plant house kitchen and then tomato seeds, which would probably... I think the plant house will give us a basic recipe. And then the tomato seeds will give us something more advanced that we can add to our planting, I guess, or our availability of crops. So maybe we get corn, maybe we get wheat, those types of things to start. All right, well, now we need to build another gas extractor, and we also need to produce or gather coal. So let's go ahead and... Oh, we need to build a coal mine now. We need 30 points to research that. We're just going to hold off until we've got that. There we go. And do you want to build a coal mine? Yes, I do. Looks like we'll need, what was that, metal in order to start researching that. Metal planks, which are different than metal deposits. It looks like we need to make a metal processing nearby to gather that. And so that's going to be under metal works, it looks like. Oh, we have metal... Well, wait a minute. Metal planks can be gathered from... Oh, that's actually like... Oh, I see. They're showing iron ingots to show that it's actually like metal underneath there. Is there any sort of... There we go. Raw materials that we can use. Let's check here as well. I do like how we can instruct them to gather specific resources too. That's kind of nice. And if we dedicate some of our workforce towards gathering, or rather working on the trees, that'll increase happiness over time. Almost like paying a tax. A happiness tax. I wish the snow would actually accumulate on the ground, or if it showed us that this was nuclear winter or something other than water. If these people were this intelligent, you'd think that they would be able to maybe make some sort of a basin or a large pool or something like that to gather all that snow and then let it melt. But then again, that's probably more toxic than the water that's probably deep under the surface, but who knows? Things exploding like this, it's anybody's guess. Okay, let's go for another... Oh, we have a coal mine now. Alright, let's gather that coal. And we'll need to probably get some people off other jobs. Food and water are looking pretty good. Water is down 22, though, with consumption. So we certainly want to apply more workforce there. Let's go ahead and take whoever's on medical post off until somebody gets wounded or hurt. And the resources, the research, let's go ahead and take that down too. Put 2 people into the water purifier. And we'll have somebody on standby to work in the metal mine. Or, sorry, the coal mine. And we can build another gas extractor whenever these are done being on fire. I think. This area cannot be used until the crack disappears. Okay. So maybe it'll explode shortly. Hopefully not too bad, though. We don't want damage to our city. So the snow actually does gather for a bit, but it doesn't seem like it impedes their movement at all. It paints the ground, but I'm not seeing any sort of path or pathing being made through the snow. So it's a light snow, but I do appreciate that they put it on some of the streets too. You can actually see some snow drifts going over the road, which is kind of cool. And onto the bridge. That's kind of cool. That's something nice. Looks like it's going to snow for 2 more days and then be cloudy again. Oh, looks like there's going to be a windy day too. If this is anything like End Zone: A World Apart, there could be large droughts, and that could hit us hard with shortages of water. That might dry up the lakes and rivers and might force us to try to desalinate salt water or use some sort of a... Yeah, I'm thinking either having a plant that way, or we could simply just gather water from there and do what you would do in survival games such as Raft, where you would take a piece of glass and allow the water to evaporate onto that and then kind of fall into a reservoir or a vat of some sort for collection later. Okay, well, can we build another gas extractor there? That might be a good spot to do it. Looks like it's disappeared. 19 days worth of fuel, though. So these will temporarily appear. So we'll have to continuously either salvage these or the power will be inconsistent and turn on and off. Oh, maybe this wasn't a bulldozer. I thought this front end here was a bulldozer. It looks like it's just some truck from Mad Max. You know what would be amazing, though? If we got some sort of a Mad Max survival game, that would be incredible, where it was a city builder. And the game from like 2015, 2016 is absolutely great. But I want more.
People can join us by using it.
All right, so now we're being instructed to build the sub dock, but we're going to probably work on that next. All right, how much for the sub dock research? It may already be unlocked. Signal tower, canning station, radar. I think actually we had the sub dock already going. Let's go ahead and switch our labor force around a little bit. Get some people... I think more free laborers, by the way, means that we have construction, yeah. So, number of people working construction, 5. Number of people working in ruins, 2. So we have people gathering stuff, like over here. Which will give us a little bit more iron or metal or whatever. Okay, let's put down our sub-dock as well. So that's under... I wouldn't even know. Community? Housing? Food, resources, workshops, technology. There it is. Community, medical post. Okay. So anyway, we know it's under technology. And where should we build this? Seems like they would dock this way? Or on the river? What? Really? Not at the ocean? Really? Okay. Maybe it just floats along the surface a little bit and doesn't fully submerge. It's a semi-submerged submarine that can go under bridges and things. Now, that actually would be viable. That might work. However, once you hit a dry patch or some sort of a blockage, you're more than likely to find that in a river than you are in the ocean or a sea. Alright, 0.5 days left on that burning. Ah, good music, though. Kind of weird that the people stand around just kind of out like that. You'd think they would go inside the building and do something. Luckily, it's automatic, and we're continuously producing oxygen through that, although that thing is sucking up a lot of power. So the real goal here is to try to, as soon as possible, unlock additional resources for power production, and then try to make our way through some harsher winters where power production probably decreases and consumption increases. Now, the resources like the gas deposits or the cracks are semi-reliable, but eventually we're going to want to do more things like solar power. But I don't see any sort of way to store that power, and I would love that, though. Turbine, solar panel, water turbine, and then we just have radar and signal towers after the gas extractor. So it'd be kind of cool to see if there was a way to more effectively store power rather than just producing it all the time. I've seen Stranded Alien Dawn do a fantastic job of power storage, and also Surviving the Aftermath. Stranded Alien Dawn really reminds me of a subsistence-like survival game. Very interesting. Oh, okay, this actually disappeared. Okay, so we can build over there. Luckily, it doesn't look like we need to build anywhere near our base. We can build pretty much anywhere we want to in this area, and our people will be able to do some things. Oh, that's weird. Sounds like a one ping only. Vasily. One ping only. Anyway. So, let's see what else we got here. So, yeah, we've got 3 hours of gas energy remaining. Are we up or down? We are now negative... Oh, it's inconsistent, probably, with its output, isn't it? No, they're 3 each. Okay. We got a total of, hopefully, 6 coming in. At least from those two. There could be more. Yeah, looks like we're generating 6 per hour. All right. So, our total consumption is around 60, and our production is around 40-ish. I assume that number might go up and down based on temperature, too, and time of day, which is related to that, I think. All right, more tech available. What else could we research? Let's not do that. I don't want to do that. Let's do the water turbine. So that's 270, so we got to get some people back into working there. And it looks like we're mining out... Oh, metal fence that produces 3 every... Oh, up to 15, okay. So every time that this fills up, they produce 3, but only until 15 metal, which is... Okay. That's fine. We have canned fish in there, over 1,000, so food's not going to be a real problem. We could have probably started by salvaging these things, too, rather than worrying about... Let's see. Yeah, canned fish. Yeah, we'd probably be able to just put people to work on that first. I think we could probably get more food by doing that, actually. What are we doing on water? Okay, so food is positive at +4. Water is positive at +1. So the basics are good. If we're going to get more people, though, we're going to certainly have to build... well, we could just assign more people to those types of jobs. Let's keep building these gas extractors. Power seems to be our biggest drawback right now. And look at that. Earth is cold. Looks like power production actually increased because of that, maybe. I'm hoping that the inconsistencies in the power is actually something really fun to manage, which would be more manageable with batteries. And, of course, multiple sources like wind, water, and solar power. And I feel like more games should definitely take use of rivers. Timberborn did a fantastic job of allowing us to dam up great amounts of water in order to make farms, and in order to make power, and in order to control water, which is really exciting. I like this. I like how the rain is coming down and clearing out the snow a bit. Just a little bit, though. Now, the first game that I saw that did snow really well was a game called Ostrov, based in, I think it's like the mid-1700s in Ukraine. It's an amazing Ukrainian city builder that really shows seasonal transitions incredibly. The only other two games that have been better than that, of course, are now with Manor Lords around the corner. Testing that out has been astonishing, as well as Farthest Frontier. Both games showing that both grid-based and open-free games are just astonishing that way. Unfortunately, you missed the deadline. Task failed. Your performance will drop. Oh, really? Oh, we didn't do the coal thing. It's okay. It's a demo anyway. We're just experiencing things for the first time. That's all right. We're learning. And after the tutorial, by the way, which does a pretty good job of explaining a lot of the mechanics, I think your first run in a game like this is really just to kind of see what does what, so you can immediately identify if something's going to be good. For example, knowing that this building is kind of useless for any sort of materials other than gears, bricks, and Kevlar, but knowing that, of course, the metal building could have food in it, but also things that you can salvage for building. And food's probably the first thing you want to get going in your camp. So far, so good, though. I've got to say, we've gotten a lot of stuff built and can continuously extract things. We just want to get this submarine dock ready first. But looks like everybody's pretty happy, actually, at +3. Looks like there's 10 tasks to do as well. If a tree with 100% vitality can't keep this score, your total score will be lowered. Oh. Well, it looks like it's raining a lot. Are these trees naturally becoming 61, 60, 59? Oh, that's interesting. Well, we'll dedicate some of our workforce towards trees, which seem to give them hope. Symbol of life, I guess, or at least worthiness of what they're doing. We need to build a submarine dock and then produce and gather 15 plastic. Are we building a sub or what? Anyway, we're waiting for 3 metal to build that. Let's speed up time even more. Every time that fills up, they're producing 3 metal planks. 30 out of 50. And I think that's going straight towards the construction.
Let's build a decoration.
Oh, sure. I'm assuming we have to research that. Ah, the star is unlocked. Okay. Spendy to build, but alright. Oh, what? Looks like we're building a small little store. Alright. Well, let's see. We're plus food and water, so we should probably not take anybody off the food and water stuff. Certainly not. And coal, I'm not sure what we're going to get from that. Maybe that could be used to filter water, perhaps. Would be possible to actually do that. And we're not, yeah. Energy or gas extractors do not work, or can work without a person. They don't require personnel to work. Oh, there we go. There is no upcoming submarine. Oh, so much for that, lady. Your brilliant idea. Okay, we're being told to gather plastic now. So if you fail a task, I feel like these tasks are just designed for the tutorial, but it seems like it's really just designed to maybe guide you a little bit. Oh yeah, and there's some pretty tight deadlines though. But I don't see these as being deadlines that really should anger the people. You know, finishing a submarine dock and then not having the plastic available is kind of just like this weird goal that doesn't really seem like it would be too big of a deal for the people. It seems like having I feel like other things that should only be a positive if you complete those, but I feel like having water and food and shelter would be those things. But I guess in terms of it being some sort of a government, with this other lady talking to you, I feel like she's sitting up there in the oxygen center up there somewhere, and she's just giving you orders to do all the stuff for the camp, which is totally fine. But some of these I feel like there could be other ways to do them. But regardless, we have survived almost 2 weeks. We're 10 days in. So at least we've got plenty of food and water going up, and then power going up too. with lots of materials being gathered for other future goals. So they now want us to finish that star. But again, it comes down to having all those metal parts. And how many people do we have free? Oh, looks like quite a few people sitting around. All good, though. We're just exploring and kind of getting the basics figured out. Trying to also figure out where plastic is. I suppose we could use this tool that we discovered before, which is actually quite good for, yeah, there you go, filtering out and finding out where the plastic is, yeah. So that's cool. The fact that there's a little bit of a HUD for that is pretty cool. Or a little bit of an overlay or a heat map. Alright, let's speed things up a little bit. Okay. So 3.1 days until this is exploded too. Looks like there is a way to store power though inside the actual the oxygen generator. We can turn that on and off. Looks like there's no constructors in there. I wonder if this can actually have upgrades. Sustainable energy stored is increasing, and coal is also increasing. So there must be something to do with power generation there. Although it's it tells you how to do it in the tutorial, but doesn't necessarily explain why or for whom or other things like that. Let's build a... keep this tree going up here. Alright, so now we got more metal coming in, more plastic coming in. Great. Let's sort by metal again. I feel like there'd be enough plastic in the ocean just by skimming the top of it. It'd be cool to get a boat out to go salvage some of that. Alright. We put people in here for plastic. Let's go back down to 1. Put people in there for metal. Let's go up to 2. Perfect. Alright, things are coming in. And we can also see our power consumption and our oxygen consumption. I would like to see a bit more in terms of connecting things via electricity. For oxygen, I could imagine that maybe they bring tanks around in order to fill up their homes or whatnot. But yeah, power would be neat if we could actually build some power storing buildings and also connect the buildings as well, although some people may find that tedious, and that might be counterintuitive to what I was mentioning before about how it's cool to be able to build wherever you'd like. Kind of cool, though. Kind of, I guess. Certainly an interesting concept, and I'd love to see more of Oxygen First Breath on the channel in the future, and if you do too, make sure you smash like, as there certainly is a lot of potential for an interesting campaign, characters, and more gameplay here, with a lot of options to relive and revive the old world. You can see things there on the screen like old-timey bell towers, clock towers, and more. So it'd be interesting to see what they have in mind and to see this game come out of its Kickstarter too, as you can see in the upper left corner. So anyway, thank you everybody for watching. Have a fantastic afternoon, good evening, and a good night. Thanks for dropping by, everybody. Take care.